Hey everybody. Not a product update, just kind of like a personal project I wanted to show everybody. I wanted to make an AK-47 for a long time, and I ended up buying a kit and a barrel, and it was really beyond my abilities 10 years ago. I bought the kit a couple years ago. I bought the barrel like 10 years ago, and I didn't really understand what all was involved. And my passion for this project has kind of changed in the recent years. So I guess I'll start off with just showing you what I have here. This is a surplus Wazer 10 stock that I have. Kind of like gives off Dragunov vibes. It came with my Wazer 10. And then I have a Childers receiver. I have a parts kit, so this is all part of the parts kit. This is well, this is all an RPK. This is like a kit bash, actually. RPK front sight block, RPK gas block. I had an RPK front sight, and an RPK barrel. So I set out to build a AK-47, and I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted. I had bought small parts that I haven't even used on this kit. Small parts, front trunnion, etc. And I was like, oh, I want to build an RPK, so I bought this Green Mountain rifle barrel, RPK barrel. And then it sat on the back burner, and then I ended up kind of jumping into it this past year. Last year I bought a super cheap parts kit, underfolder parts kit from Midway. I have an FFL, but I don't have connections for everything, right? I have to buy stuff retail. So I bought a Midway kit for like $275, and this was just like, was it last year or was it the year before? I don't remember, but it was before like everything just went crazy, and parts kits were hard to get. I want to say it was 2019, and I got it real cheap, and I was kind of like flipping back and forth. Do I get an AK barrel? And then I was like, you know what? I like the Dragunov, but I don't want a 7.62 by 54R cartridge. I want a 7.62 by 39. Because everybody's like, 7.62 by 39 is just not accurate. AKs aren't accurate. And I'm like, that's just bullshit. That's bullshit. AKs are plenty accurate. And I'm gonna build a designated marksman strip rifle, DMR. I have an AK platform. So I went ahead and I started piecing things together. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? How is this going to work? I have some gunsmithing skills, mostly machining experience, but also some gunsmithing. And I'm like, I got to make this work. So I'm just going to start putting parts together. So my AK trunnion was 750 ID for pressing in the barrel. My RPK barrel was 750 OD, so I knew my barrel would fit in my trunnion. Well, I had some problems along the way. And I was like, well, somebody had to have done this before. Somebody had to have built this rifle. There's no way that I'm the first person to build something, right? So I ended up seeing Forgotten Weapons. Ian McCullum had mentioned the Tabuk, Tabuk, an Iraqi rifle. That was a DMR. It was a 7.62 by 39. It had a long barrel. Obviously based on the AK platform. You can look up pictures of it. And I'm like, I can build that better. I have the parts. I'm going to do it. And it was kind of, it's weird because I could say I can do it better, but I was already in the process of doing it. So it's like when I saw it, I'm like, I can do that, but I can do it better because I have an RPK barrel. Now, the difference between an RPK barrel and an AK-47 barrel is this one's a lot thicker. This is like if you take your Colt AR-15, I have a Colt AR-15 H-bar, a heavy barrel, and you compare my H-bar to, an AR-15 pencil barrel, it's so much thicker, hence heavy barrel. This is exactly the difference. So there were some problems with that because when you go from a normal barrel to a heavy barrel or a thicker barrel, you're going to have different parts. And I found that out with this gas block and this front sight block. So so that's pretty much what it came down to. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna slowly fit this thing together. I bought a bunch of tooling, AK Builder tooling, and I bought this Childers 80% receiver. Now, disclosure, this isn't part of the business. This is a private build. So if it was part of the business, I would have to serialize it. I'd have to put a company name on it. It is going on the company channel, but it was too cool not to share, right? I mean, there's a lot of people in the gun business that have personal gun hobbies, and I just wanted to share this with everybody. So what I ended up doing was I pressed the barrel in, I head spaced it, and I started putting the pieces together. My AK front sight block wouldn't work. So I ended up having to come in here, and I had to come and shave off some with my mill. Now, it wasn't perfect. It'll never be perfect. It was very difficult to shave the right amount off, and I'm not perfect. So I'm going to have to do a lot of recoating, nitriding, parkerizing eventually. But yeah, so I had to shave off some of here so my front sight block would fit. And then my gas block, well, my AK gas block wouldn't work. So I had to buy an RPK gas block. Well, I got that on, I pinned that in. A little bit of bragging here, successfully drilled a 45-degree angle gas port in this gas block with I think it was a 3mm drill bit coming on, and I started with a 3mm short, and then I did an 8mm or an 1/8 inch with a long. It was like a 6-inch long bit. You gotta go slow, lube it and go slow. That's what she said. So I got all that together, but then I also realized, and I got the bolt carrier in here, so this won't come out. But my front, this is like a guide. It guides the rod into the gas block, but this front gas tube wouldn't seat properly. So I went ahead and take this off, and I'll show you all this. All right, so now I have all this apart. I jammed my thumb into the fire control group, but you can see a little bit where I had to shave this off and how the rear sits. This probably should have come a little bit forward, but my dust cover still fits. So I ended up having to grind off and chamfer this front gas tube so it would fit correctly, because on here you have this lip, this lower lip, and it fits into this lower groove. Well, that's pretty much a spacer, well, spacing keeps it spaced. It slides down in there, and then you have this locking lug, so you get it fit down in there, and then it locks in place. I think this is a little bit too much of a gap, but if need be, I can always lengthen this gas tube. So a Childers receiver, 80%, had to drill out some holes for my rivets. So the holes that I did have to drill out were all the front trunnion rivets. This was already installed. I had to drill out my fire control group. I had to drill out my rear trunnion rivets. I had to drill out my safety selector. This hole is ugly. I had to drill all this out. And I had to drill... No, I did not have to drill out my trigger guard. That's stuck. I did not have to drill this out, but I did have to press these rivets in. And I did have to drill out my mag release. This is not working as well as I thought it was going to work. My mag release, and it's a little too tight. I had to try to fix it. It was working, but now it's tight again, so I don't know why. This is a very long project. This has taken me several months of working on the weekends when I had a chance, and just other little things. The one thing I did have a problem with was the kit that I got, the bolt that came in the kit was out of spec. I don't understand how, because it was part of it. I'm assuming it was a used kit. It would not headspace correctly. Now I have a Wazer 10 and I have a Zastava Z-Pop, and I put my Wazer 10 bolt in here, and it locks in fine. But this kit bolt wouldn't, so I had to machine down the kit bolt, and it still isn't fitting, so I'd have to figure that out. But yeah, I'm gonna put a sight rail in here. I bought a master mount, I believe it is a master mount side rail, and you take these pins out, these fire control pins, and you put this mount in here. But because it's an 80% and I had to drill these holes out myself, either this hole is down too far or this hole is up too far, because my block was canted like this. Well, dramatic, but it was canted downward. So when I put my rail on, my scope would have been facing downward, and it just wasn't going to work. So I'm going to have to go and rivet a rail in here, because then I can level my rail and I can punch my holes out and I can drill my holes out. This steel is really hard. I burnt through so many drill bits trying to drill through this steel. And it's hardened steel, and it's supposed to be hardened steel, but holy crap. Another little thing, and my dog's whining in the background. Another little thing is this front barrel pin. That was a pain in the ass. Trying to get this lined up right and drilled and pressed in. I'm not completely happy with it, but it'll work. But yeah, there's that. There's my Tubruk, my H-bar Tubruk. Hopefully I will be able to get it out and firing this year at some point. It is just a lot of work and very little time. I've been working on a lot of other stuff, triggers and other sales, gun sales, the wood handguard, getting that ironed out, which has taken way too long. I finally got that done. It's up on the website. Shameless plug. But yeah, so when this actually comes together and I get it firing, hopefully by the end of the year, I will definitely post footage of this firing and see how that accuracy is. Maybe we'll even see it blow up. Wouldn't that be fun? Putting hundreds of hours into something and then having it detonate. Oh, geez. If that happens, I should just slap a Vasca sticker on it from Century and call it a day. But that's about it. That's the update. I figured I'd post it just because it's an interesting one-off, and see how it goes. Have a good one.